So Natalie, you are divorced now. So you've gone through this accident that we're going to talk about. You've really carried quite a load the last few years. I can't remember when your wedding was. I think 2015 or 16, somewhere around
Yeah.
there. And that was just after your accident. So not just after, but a little while afterwards. And yeah, so for those who are listening, just want to maybe start with, your life before your accident.
Okay,
Um,
so yeah, so I had a full-time job in sales, digital signage. I always wanted to start a business. I mean, I had the name, knew exactly what I wanted to do, but I always had an excuse of no time, no money, it just never happened. And I also started DJing. So I wasn't really happy, but I was always, yeah. So basically I was just working, DJing, and in a DJ environment, I mean, you can imagine there was free alcohol. So it wasn't really a productive life. And then, yeah, I had the accident, and literally in hospital, I decided, okay, now's the time. I don't know when I can drive again. And while I was in hospital, I actually had somebody design my logo. And I decided this was it. When I get out, I'm going to make this happen. So yeah, it was probably after a month after that I quit my job, and
sure.
yeah, business is still going.
And what was your belief like before your accident? I mean, did you grow up believing God exists? What was your faith
So
situation?
I've always gone to church. I mean, basically since I was small, I went to Rhema. I even joined the youth band. But I think what kept me busy majority of my life is I used to play a lot of sports. Sports, Stedford, athletics. It kept me so busy 7 days a week that I never really had time for anything else. So when towards the end of high school came, obviously then bad friends, started noticing boys, drinking, all that stuff. Um, so the road has never been, I think they call it the straight and narrow for a reason, because it's easy to fall off. And that's what happened quite a few times. And I've learned I need extreme measures to wake up. And
Right.
obviously, me and God have had that chat. We both get it. I'm okay with it. So yeah, that's what's happened.
When you speak like that, I'm thinking about taking my boys 10-pin bowling. So when we go 10-pin bowling, we've got to put up the barriers on the sides because their
Yeah.
ball keeps on going to. So it's like, would you say that's maybe how your life is? You've had to have these strict barriers from God to just stick in line.
I don't think he's ever put those barriers up. I think he
Yeah,
lets me fall off. It's me that has to put the barriers in place. And
right.
I had forced myself to put it in place because I've just, out of all the different ways I've lived, the straight and narrow is the best one, the most rewarding. You're the happiest. It's the only place you find true peace. So I'm forcing the barriers.
Wow, that's great. So it sounds like, if I listen to you, it sounds like you've got this really driven personality. At school, um, you filled your hunger for success and achievement through sport. And then later on, like most of us, it happens later on in your life. Teenage years comes, and then it's alcohol and it's jolling and it's guys. Well, for ladies,
Yeah.
and then sort of Satan gets a little bit of a hold on you. And some people never make it out of there. Some people just go from there downhill, either alcoholism or they have kids with 3 different ladies or whatever the case is. Um,
Yeah.
but you were hit hard in that period of your life. You went through some real trials that shook you out of it. It made you sober.
Yeah, no, I think even during the whole sports phase, because the thing is, I was honestly addicted to sports.
Sure.
Like on a Friday night, I would go watch indoor sports and wait for someone to get injured, and then quickly run up and say, "I'm available, I can play." And I promise you, and it got to a point because I mean, in primary school, I went for South African colors, provincial colors in different sports. Like this is primary school.
Right.
And then in high school, I tore my ligament. So I couldn't play for 6 weeks. So again, that time I realized sports is not everything. It's not a priority, because I thought I'd go to the Olympics and my life would be made. So I think that's where the big extreme measures started happening. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So this accident came. Would you mind telling us about that? Like that night. Uh, let's assume
Um,
people know nothing. You
okay.
know.
So a friend of mine, his dad died, so he invited me to the wake. I couldn't go to the funeral, so I went to the wake. Another friend of mine didn't have a job, car was broken. I thought, let me help you. Come with, and then afterwards we'll sit down and I'll help you with your CV and all of that stuff. So he came with, and yeah, I had a few drinks, and that's pretty much all that I remember. I just woke up in a ICU. So what had happened is he took my car, um, carried on jawling the rest of the night, and then, I mean, I last remember about 8 p.m. And then he carried, the accident was just before 3 a.m. He rolled the car off of a highway, no other cars involved. I wasn't wearing a seatbelt, so I went out of the windscreen, flew 15 meters, and then landed on an embankment. Paramedics came, or he phoned his dad. Paramedics came, took me to the hospital. Um, yeah, so I woke up in ICU, neck brace. Yeah, that's what happened. I broke my neck. So your vertebrae, I broke one, so the others are being held up with a metal plate. So when I had the accident, the doctor that did the operation, it was the first time he was doing this new procedure in South Africa, and it was his third time ever. But I had blood on my brain, fractures all over my neck, my back, and he told my parents that I have 40% chance to survive, and if I survive, 50% chance I'm going to be a vegetable.
Sure.
Yeah, so
And you
that's what
spoke
happened.
about you've got your eardrum, and you know what else got hurt that night?
So the eardrum, I think that's quite ironic, or God's plan, but I think it's connected because I used to DJ. The hole in the eardrum prevents me from doing that ever again, which I think is a good thing. So again, these are measures God is putting in place for me to focus on what I need to focus on. But yeah, I had blood on my brain, fractures in my back, hole in my ear. I had a fracture. So the fracture that was in my neck, the doctor said that obviously that's right by what controls your movement, and the other fracture I had was right by what controls your breathing.
Right.
So the neck brace that I had on, from day one, I had that on for 5 months straight.
Right. Yeah. I remember having a cast and it itches inside. I mean, if you got this neck thing on, how does that feel? I mean,
It was terrible, because the thing is, like, obviously you sweat. So every day almost we'd have to clean it, and I'd have to hold my neck with my hands while the neck brace is opened and cleaned and powder put inside and all of that. Yeah, no, it wasn't fun. And in the beginning, there was a lot of little, nerve damage and issues, room spinning and weird things. And the doctor just has no words, because I survived and he didn't think I would.
wow. Sure. And I saw in the X-ray that you sent that the it seems like it's a bone at the bottom, or the brace is at the bottom, or where did it?
So it's C6, which
Okay.
is towards the bottom, but
Okay.
not, yeah.
Sure. And
So,
you're so lucky you didn't feel that, eh?
oh yeah, look, it was the most painful thing I've ever been through in my life.
Sure.
But yeah, very grateful for the few days in ICU that I don't remember. Yeah.
Wow. So you also noted to me that you woke up and the doctor told you about the prognosis of the operation, and that there's a possibility you could be paralyzed, and you also said now a possibility of being a vegetable. And so do you remember that when you heard that from the doctor, and how did you cope with that? How do you?
I remember for sure. So he told us that. So the day I came in, the operation was like 2 days later. But after he told me that, they wheeled me into theater, and yeah, it was the weirdest thing. But I was lying there before they took me in, and I just prayed. And I said, you know what, God, if it's my time, it's okay. And I just had complete peace. Um, So I think that plays a big part of, how I am now. And even the doctor said that because of my mindset and that peaceful state, that also helped the operation be a success. Because people don't realize your emotional state can affect, the success of an operation.
Right. So you believe a positive attitude has a physical effect on your well-being.
Oh no, for sure. Yeah, I'm actually busy studying life coaching and all of that. And from what I'm learning, I'm working with a Christian neuroscientist. Being grateful builds brain cells. So for sure, being positive, what I've learned is there's positive in every single situation. Whether you think it's the end of the world or it's not, there's always a positive. We just don't look hard enough to find it.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
part of group for broken neck survivors. So that was nice for me to, speak to people that can understand what I'm going through.
Mm.
But it excites me because I get to encourage them, because it's basically when something like this happens, you have the decision to either lie around and complain about it or, use it and make something of it and be positive.
Right. And does that come naturally to you, or did you train yourself
So
to think like that?
I've always been a positive person. I think with all the sports and being the best and doing the best, I mean, you have to be positive. But yeah, it's definitely helped me. I think it is something you have to practice. It's not something that just, if you're not a positive person, it does take time to become more positive. But
Right.
for me, I think I've always just been like that. But even more so since the accident, because I realize how we let small things bother us and get to us when it's actually not that bad.
Right. I've been wondering about, so I look at you and I see this person that has gone through this trauma, and you could deal with the trauma quite well, it seems like. In actual fact, the reason why you went through it so successfully is because you dealt with it well. You were positive, and you were even ready to die. So you've made
Yeah.
peace with the end of life, which a lot of people haven't yet. And but I've wondered, how did the people closest to you respond to that? Like your mom and dad, don't know if they're still around. I mean, how did they handle that, and how did you handle their emotions? I don't know if that's a
So it's quite funny. Before the accident, I was living on my own in Greenside. And in hospital, my mom wanted me to live with them afterwards. And I said, no, I'm fine. I'll be fine. Leave me on my own. And as they wheeled me out of the hospital, they were like, surprise, you live with us now. So, yeah, so they actually told my landlord I can't walk for 2 years. And they had already moved all my stuff to them.
wow.
So I think for me, that was actually a harder struggle than breaking my neck, is, adjusting to that. But yeah, I think that everybody was a bit emotional and shocked and all of that. But at the same time, I think they, in a way, used to me getting hurt. But this was obviously, I think, a realization that life is short and we need to be careful and all of that. I think my dad took it the worst. I'm a daddy's girl and he's quite sensitive. So
Yeah.
yeah, he struggled to see me in pain, but otherwise they were quite helpful in that. I mean, I couldn't walk for quite a while, so
Okay.
yeah, spent my
Well,
time in bed for quite a while.
so I think for your personality, it was quite a challenge to adapt to being dependent
Oh,
on
very,
other people.
yeah. No, I'm fully independent. That was very hard for me. But yeah, I mean, I basically started working on my business from when I left.
Yeah.
So I think the hardest part was working through the pain.
Yes.
Um, yeah,
So I just want to get this. So you were an employee before the accident, and you were an employer after the accident.
yeah.
And just a few questions about that. It seems like the accident gave you a strong sense of vigor. Like you now you want to go out there, get it, and do what you've always dreamed about?
I think, yeah, definitely. But I think a bigger part of it was, I mean, I was unsure of what was going to happen. The company I was working at, they said they would keep me on. But that was a sales position. It was on the road, seeing people. I mean, at that time, I didn't know when I was going to drive again. I was scared of driving again. Um, and I felt it was unfair to keep them hanging when I knew I definitely full on 100% want to give attention to this new business. So yeah, I resigned from there. So it was more pressure of I need to pay bills. Um, you know, this has happened, but I need to pay bills. So it was that I had to make money. And I think for me that was the harder thing to deal with in the actual accident, is the fact that I didn't have I had to work hard. Yeah.
So not only did you have to deal with this body of yours that's broken, literally, you had to pick yourself up and start forging ahead with a career while in that situation. That's quite hectic. Okay, so now you then decided on your hospital bed you're going to start a business. Tell us about that. What was your dream, and where did you start? You know, how do you start building a business from a hospital bed? You know.
So my background is sales, but before the accident, I was in digital signage. Before that job, I was in digital marketing. So I took that job at the time because I needed a job, and they were paying more than my previous one. But when I got into it, I really, really loved it. It just felt like my brain was wired for marketing.
Mm.
Um, so I knew, well, what I wanted to do was I knew marketing and sales, but I wanted to learn how to do graphic design. I wanted to learn how to do websites. So that's basically what I did. Is in hospital, I had the logo done. And as soon as I left, I started learning. So it took me about 4 months, but I taught myself how to do graphic design, website design. I knew the marketing. So I thought of, let me not just limit myself, let me do a one-stop shop. And that's what I did. So from all of that stuff, you have printing, branding, uniforms, signage, everything. And it worked out really well because some months one side does better, other months the other side does better, and everybody loves a one-stop shop. So yeah, I'm really glad I did decide that in the beginning.
And that business was Leaf. What was the name?
Green,
Greenleaf,
yeah,
right? Yeah.
project.
I don't
Yeah.
know if so. I don't know if you remember, but I supported you. You guys, you won't remember, but you guys branded one of our cars
Oh yes.
for Econa Petroleum, a fuel company. And well, I don't know if you did it. Maybe you outsourced it, but you did the design and things for us, which was quite cool. So that business is still going.
Good. Good.
Is
Oh
that?
yeah, yeah. Sorry, my business. Yes, it is.
Yes.
Yeah, no, it's this year. Yeah, going on 7 years.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I've actually started another one. Done some importing, so done some workshops. So technically 4 companies. So yeah,
Okay. I'm gonna.
too ambitious.
Well, if you can handle it, why not? You know, some people have been gifted. That's what they must do. Business
Yeah,
is their thing. They must do it. They must be released to do it. I'd
yeah.
like you to just advertise that at the end, so I'll remind you about that. Just want to ask you. So you've started a few companies, started a few businesses, and for a business to continue after 7 years, you're employing some people with
Yeah.
Green Still. And was that the logo that you were working on your bed?
No, so the original logo was a black and white hand with the world in the middle and a leaf coming out of it. But
Right.
then a few years later, I just redid it to just the leaf. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, that's super. So in this whole process, what advice would you give to a young entrepreneur that wants to start a business? You know, what do you need to make it work, would you say? I know it's a loaded question, but whatever comes to your mind, you know.
No, that's fine. I think the first thing is the biggest thing is, I mean, I waited to have the accident to start it. And it's the happiest I've ever been. It's the longest I've ever been at a company. So I think for people not to be scared, First of all, if you work hard, I mean, I have 4 rules: work hard, pray, have faith, and stay humble. There have been times where I got a big head. I mean, I had meetings with the Blue Bulls and they loved my marketing, another client as well. And there were times where I got a bit, you
Arrogant.
know, arrogant in my skills, and then business would get quiet. And then I'd have to sit down and learn the lesson, humble myself, and then it would pick up again. So I
Right.
think if you stick to those 4 things, that's good. And definitely look, plan and research. That's a big one. You know, I long ago had a company in events and supplying bars and things. I had put money into that business, which is different to now, but the way I did it was completely wrong. I mean, this is before all the marketing knowledge and all of that, but that one didn't work at all because I didn't follow the right steps and do the research and all of that. So I think that's important. And then just looking to the future, you know, and especially I think Corona has taught us a lot. You know, what does the market need? Where are the gaps? What is something that people are always going to be using? Yeah, and then just work hard. I think that's the biggest thing. It's less about your talent or whatever. Just work hard
Yeah.
and have faith, because that's definitely a big factor. Yeah.
Just want to get those 4 things again because those slipped me by. But you had first you said work hard, second pray, third faith. What's your fourth one?
Humble. Being
Humble,
humble.
humility. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm just going to repeat that for everybody again. But
Okay.
you know what you say is so interesting because I think there's a lot of people out there that have great ideas for to start a business, etc., but they too fearful of taking that leap.
Yeah.
Where I think, as you've noted, you were forced into that position, really,
Yeah.
and that's why you took the jump. People prefer to revert back to their safe salary environment, and they never take the leap. And I think the problem with that, you need to correct me, but I think one of the challenges with that, not only are you limiting your potential, but you're robbing the world because
Yeah.
people out there could benefit from the vision that has been implanted in your mind.
100%. And I think also when you have your own business, it's a whole new level of passion. I mean, you love
Yeah,
what you do. You do it for a reason. I get so frustrated with people that are in jobs that they hate, doing things that they hate to do. I mean, you spend majority of your time at a company. Granted, I work longer hours now than at a company, but it's all worth it. It's for myself. I'm in control. I've got freedom.
yeah,
So
yeah.
definitely, I think people shouldn't be scared to do it.
Absolutely. I love that. So take a leap, work hard, and I think some people believe they can just make it without the hard work.
Yeah,
And I think you can attest to that.
yeah,
Here's the message to everybody. Even if you almost died and you're on your hospital bed, work, then you might make it.
yeah, yeah,
And it's interesting that you include prayer and faith because most people exclude that, and that tells me that you acknowledge God, you acknowledge that there are certain things outside of your control,
yeah,
and that you need a blessing. You need the hand, the fingerprint of God in whatever it is that you do. You know, for some
yeah,
people, their faith is just a Sunday in a church building thing. But you're saying, look, it's part of everything that I do. So I include God in my business. I bring Him in. Yeah, I can't see why that cannot be successful.
yeah,
And you spoke about humility. That is awesome. I want to ask you one thing. Um, you said to me that time has changed for you since your accident. Um, it's become more precious to you. Time has become more precious. Would you mind telling us a bit about that? What's your perspective on that?
yeah.
Sorry to interrupt you. Sorry, but I asked you how old you were, and you said, but you counting your years now from the accident. Like if you could include that.
Yeah, so I'll start with that. So it upsets me when I hear people say, you know, they're a year older, they're getting older. And for me, it's just like, you know, I almost died. For me, I count my first birthday from the accident, you know, because it's my first year of life. It's my second chance. I'm living it. So every year I celebrate fully. And the people that are around me, they know. I don't care if you don't do birthdays. If people tell me my birthday is just another day, I want to freak. I make it as the most special day ever because you're alive. You know, people take that so for granted. And I realized how we actually operate when I was in hospital. I mean, first of all, I've never heard from so many people in my life, more than on my birthday, than, you know, when I was in hospital. So that was a shock for me. People came to visit me that I wasn't even close with. But the
Sure.
thing is, the people that were coming there, it was the same complaints, complaining about work, complaining about people, and gossiping. And I just
Right.
realized, like, how stupid are we? Like, number one, to let these stupid things take up our time, take up our emotions. So from there on, I always try to stay away from those kinds of people. Um, Surround yourself with positive things you love. I mean, I love the ocean. My whole house is filled with ocean stuff. Um, so yeah, time is so precious. I mean, I went from a normal day to almost dead. So anything can happen at any minute. And the thing is, um, I've done some motivational speaking, and then I ask people, like, imagine you're, um, you know, you have a month left, a week left, a year left. What would you do? You know, would you still live the life you live? Would you still sit around, watch TV, complain, and
Mm.
do nothing? You know, that's why I want to live life to the absolute fullest. I mean, my
Mm.
problem is that I do too much. I take on too much. Like, I have to force myself to relax. Um,
Right.
so yeah, that's definitely where I live now.
Okay, but it doesn't seem that you're relaxing currently, or do you make time to relax?
Yeah, so I do my Sundays. So Sundays, I call them my soul food days. So I basically realized that I like going to the spa and it makes me relax. So I'm like, why not do that at home? So obviously I listen to some preaching, some good Christian music. And then, yeah, every Sunday I have do a bubble bath, candles, plus, you know, essential oils. And that's what I do while the music is playing. Deep breaths, pray about things, think about things, go through my thoughts, what's bothering me, because sometimes I'm so busy. Um, I need a time out to actually see what's going on in my life, what's bothering me, what's not, you
Mm.
know, plan for the week and just start that Monday fresh,
Mm.
and with a plan and all of that. And the amazing thing is, there was a stage where I missed like 2 Sundays. And the one day when I was driving, I actually saw the clouds in the shape of someone praying. And then I said, no, okay, well, I can't miss anymore. And yeah, I haven't stopped ever since. So yeah, it's definitely that I have to force myself to do that, but it's definitely rewarding. So yeah, I've learned if you don't look after yourself, you can't look after others. So that's also what I'm trying, yeah.
Well, I really admire that because people who are usually driven, they can't sit still because they think, yeah, that thing, I forgot to send that invoice. Oh, I need to phone that client. So it's even hard on a Sunday to take time to rest.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I
And also,
just, yes.
sorry, no, I just wanted to say, like I'm quite a perfectionist, but I like to call myself a recovering perfectionist because, you know, through the accident, I've learned like why we put all of that on ourselves. Perfection is impossible, you know. Like something so stupid before the accident, I would never put color on my nails because it doesn't match my outfits. You know, and now like if the house isn't clean and all of those things, and then I just ask myself, will you die? No, you won't. So why make such a big thing of it? You know? So yeah, it's those little things that I try hard to put in place. Yeah. But I
So,
also know that the hard work will pay off and then I can delegate more. So because what I want to do eventually is be much more involved in the coaching and the speaking and all of that.
so what if you could get your businesses to like run on its own effectively and you could spend your time impacting the lives of people through, you know, life coaching, teaching them about God or teach entrepreneurial workshops and life motivation. Would you say that you feel that's what God's call is on your life? Do you feel God calls you to do that, to inspire people?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, after the accident, there was a time where I was a bit depressed. And then I put on the Christian TV channel, and there was pastors saying, you know, there's a girl out there, you're 30 years old, you've been in an accident, you're in pain, you're depressed, use your creativity for God. And instantly I felt better, but I knew that's what I had to do, because that was exactly me. And just the timing of it, as I switched on the TV, I knew, I mean, I had goosebumps and I was like, I need to do this. So that's definitely, I feel like, my purpose, to not only share my story, share what God's done, the miracles, inspire people when it comes to business. That's definitely, I want to change lives. That's the bottom line, and that's what excites me. So yeah, one day I do hope to do that full time.
I'm sure that is definitely a possibility. And I think we need more people like that in this world. There's too many people just thinking about themselves and how they can pull themselves up and produce wealth. But I like what you said, you know, so having the right color nails is not as intense as breaking your neck. So,
Yeah, it's you joke though, but on my bad days or times that I do feel down, every time I just think back to ICU, and I'm like, it's not that bad. I'm okay. Everything's fine. Yeah.
right. Yeah, that helps. And that makes you, that places you in a unique position that many people are missing out. Most people out there would say, please don't ever let me break my neck. But in that, not experiencing what you're experiencing, they're also missing the miracle and the way
Yeah.
that it's changed your life. That's why I like the heading of that article that you wrote. You know, I broke my neck and I'm glad I did. I mean,
Yeah.
it sounds ridiculous, but
Yeah.
you've learned to value other things more. Um, yeah, that's a beautiful story. And it seems like throughout your life, God has given you signs, like you say, you've put on the TV and it feels like that guy's talking to you. You know, you've seen somebody praying in the clouds. You know,
Yeah.
is there any other such things that you can remember? I think you told me about a number plate that says faith or something.
Sure. There's so many. I actually gonna have to sit down one day and write down all of them. But it really started happening after the accident. So what had happened is, after the divorce, because of my life being successful with sports and successful with business, I've never really failed at anything. So going through a divorce, it was hard for me. I felt like a failure, and I felt like I could fix this.
Right.
And I was constantly obsessing about how to fix it. And then just God just kept telling me to let go control. Everything I was reading was saying, let go control, surrender, trust God, have faith. And as I was thinking it, a car drove past with the number plate faith. And I was like, okay, fine. Went to Monte Cassino. As I drove in, the cashier, her name badge was faith. And that's when I realized I have to let go control. I cannot fix anything. And that's when I surrendered everything and I had peace. And it's been a hard thing to do, but I've learned I have to keep reminding myself to do that. And it's constantly working.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
But yeah, there's really been a lot of things. I mean, I used to struggle with a lot of pain. I went to church, they prayed for me. I felt warmth in my back, and then I had no more pain in my back since then.
Right.
Uh, yeah, there's been so many different signs.
Mm.
Sure, there's so many. Yeah,
I
but
don't
yeah,
I don't doubt that God had a plan with you from birth, that He knew what you would go through, and that He's been present all along. He's left some clues and fingerprints for you and guided
yeah,
you, and also put you some really tough things. There's something that you said at one point. You were going, you were doing the bottle a little bit, and
yeah.
you said you read a scripture that you haven't found, and I found that quite interesting, because you wanted to be a motivational speaker. Do you remember what you remember the
Yes,
text said?
yes. So what had happened is I was living with my parents, and when I was able to move, I'm being independent. First thing I did was get out of the house. I moved in with a friend, and he drank a lot. So I started drinking again. Um, and yeah, I opened the Bible one day, and it said, "Who's going to listen to you if you're a drunk?" But I
Right.
still didn't get the message, and I carried on, and then I got alcohol poisoning. And then finally, I mean, that felt like death. Um, not as bad as breaking my neck, but terrible. And after that, I was done. And yeah, I stopped for 5 years. So now I try and not drink at all. Yeah, it's just clean, healthy, straight and narrow is just the best way to go.
Absolutely. And it sounds almost like that's the way we teach our kids. If you don't want to
Yeah,
listen, then you must feel.
exactly. No, it's 100%. I've realized that's exactly how God deals with me. But I've learned like I don't listen any other way. I don't know if I'm
Yeah.
just too ambitious and, all of those things, but it's okay. I'm okay. Extremes
Mm,
happen. I learned the lesson a lot quicker than before, I guess.
right. And so I went searching for that verse, and I don't know which translation you read, and I couldn't find, as you've been searching, I couldn't find a verse that says those exact words. But if you look at the Bible, right, actually from beginning to end, that's what it implies.
Yeah.
And I just want to share with you some of it, and to whoever's going to watch this or hear this. One of the stories is in First Samuel chapter 1, where Hannah is praying for a child. And Eli looks at her, sees her on the steps praying, and he thinks she's drunk. So he dismisses her because he thinks she's drunk. And that sort of got stuck with me, is that people will generally avoid drunks. Okay. There's nobody's going to call a drunk person who's drunk every second day to get advice for life. I mean,
Yeah.
you can't get it together yourself.
Yeah.
And two, three other verses, Proverbs 20 verse 1 says, wine is a mocker, strong drink a brawler, and whoever is intoxicated by it is stupid. Okay. So Isaiah 5 verse 22, woe to those who are heroes at drinking wine and valiant men in mixing strong drink. Proverbs 23:21, for the heavy drinker and the glutton will come to poverty, and drowsiness will clothe them in rags. Simple terms, it will drive you to poverty. Okay. So it's you probably read something somewhere like that, and the message you got from God was that nobody would listen to me if I'm this type of person. And that just reflects the beauty of God's word. Um, yeah, thank you for sharing that with us.
Yeah.
So I've got two more things I want to ask you, if it's
Okay.
okay. Um,
Yeah.
would you tell us about your businesses
Sure.
and where we could get hold of you? And yeah.
So the first one is Greenleaf Project. So that one we start and grow businesses. That's the one-stop shop that I was talking about. Yeah, it's pretty much everywhere: website, social media, email info@greenleafproject.co.za. And then the other business, it's funny how that one got started. A friend told me about a product which is for pit toilets. So like in the locations, they have the portable toilets, and the stats of it is crazy. Kids dying every month, people putting acid in there, it's going into our water. So I thought of starting an eco company. And again, not just one product, let's do a lot. So I've got a whole range of products that I'm doing, as well as looking to the future: solar, gas, water tanks, going off grid. So I've seen the facts and the effects of, a lot of the products that we're using, that are damaging our health, causing cancer and all of this. So that's the one side of it. And the other side of it is obviously the damage it's causing to our planet,
Sure.
stuff in the ocean, plastic, all of that. So I'm really trying to um, educate people about the effects, giving them alternatives,
Mm.
and making the world a better place. Yeah, so that one is Clean Africa Eco. And as well, there's a website, social media, everything, info@Clean Africa Eco.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. Um, and then a last question. So this one, I hope you've thought about a bit. Um, if you were going to die in 5 minutes and you had a microphone to speak to the whole world, what would you say to us?
Yeah, so this is not actually a hard one. I think first of all, I would say follow your purpose. I mean, a lot of people don't know what their purpose is. They just lost. Why are we here? Just in this rat race to work, sleep, go to work again. But if you really take time to pray about it and research and think, what is it that excites you? No one has to tell you to do it. You just automatically get up and do it because you love it. It's that burns inside of you that makes you excited is connected to your passion. You know, all of us have different talents and gifts, and you know, all of this is connected to what God wants you to do. If you're a good photographer, go out and change lives with your photos. At the end of the day, we're all here to change lives. We all want to help people. That is what makes us happy deep down in our hearts. And we're all here to evolve in all areas of your life, you know, whether it's parenting, marriage, friendships, work, whatever. If you're not constantly getting better, you're just going to get bored and do something else, try something else, and not be happy. So, in the end, just constantly try and grow, do better, be better, research stuff. There's so much helpful stuff. I mean, just how I learned how to do websites and graphic design. Um, you know, if you're struggling with self-esteem, watch speakers about self-esteem. You know, there's things you can do to help yourself feel better and do better and all of that. Then next, I would say, don't let the small things upset you. I mean, if you knew you only had a short amount of time to live, you wouldn't complain so much about the traffic, about if
Mm,
somebody left the toilet seat up, whatever it is.
right.
And then I'd say if you make God first in everything and live how the Bible says, it's there for a reason. I mean, I have lived not how the Bible says, things don't work out. If you live how the Bible says, it's really that easy. And I think just to spend more time with God, you know, listening to the music, less of the news, less of the world, less of the negativity, um, just surround yourself with God and the Bible and His facts and His truth, and everything will be okay.
I love it. Thank you so
Okay.
much. I just want to add one last thing. I meet a lot of people, Natalie, that are going through tough times, or they've got issues, psychological, spiritual issues, whatever. And a lot of people, something happened in their past that they keep on looking back at, and it's stunt their growth. And you're just such a beautiful example to me. So I came across this book written by a guy by the name of Viktor Frankl, who was in the Second World War, and he was in Auschwitz in the concentration camps, and he tried to. He was a psychologist, and he wanted to figure out why is it that some people survive and other people just give up and die. And he realized that the people that survived the concentration camp were people that were looking forward to something on the outside of the concentration camp. So they thought about their family, whether their family died or not, it was irrelevant, but they continually looked forward to the future. And so after he came out of the concentration camp, he wrote that book, and he started a form of therapy, which is logotherapy, which is basically the idea in order to solve your inner unhappiness or your psychological issues or whatever. To do that is to look forward to something. Instead of looking back and thinking, if I fix the past, then my present will be better, he's saying, build something for the future and your present will get better because suddenly there's hope. So, would you summarize that as in line with your perspective on life?
Yeah, I think I agree. And also, again, because of the coaching, that training that I've had, it's been proven if you tell yourself something repeatedly, you start to believe it. I mean, if you're feeling sick, if you're constantly repeating that you feel sick, it's just going to make you feel worse. I mean, and I've tested this. If you're feeling sick, you just keep repeating it's not that bad. You feel fine. Everything's fine. And I start feeling better. I have, and also I'm trying now to do healthy things. If I have toothache, Google what helps toothache. Coconut oil, great. Put it on my tooth, pain goes away. So I think we have way too much faith in medicine and doctors and things like that. Again, yeah. So that's definitely the. Sorry, I got sidetracked with all the healthy, natural. No, but to summarize in life, like I'm also fascinated with the whole psychology of things.
Sure.
Um, your mindset is so important. I mean, I have printed out things that I repeat out loud every single day because the Bible also says, speak
Yeah.
things, believe them, all of that. So,
Yeah.
and to speak things that you want to have, like I am successful, I am healthy, I am whatever. You speak it and you own it. So there's
Mm.
all these little things that you can do that definitely help. But yeah, mindset has so much more power than we give it credit for. Definitely.
Wow. Yeah. Wow, Natalie. Wow, it's just been so wonderful to have this chat with you. We'll have to chat again sometime, and I want to ask you if there's anything that comes to your mind that you feel you want to share with the world. Please let me know. I'd love to participate in that, and be part of it. You've had a really amazing life, challenging, but I'm sure it's an inspiration to everybody who's hearing this or seeing this. So I want to just say, by God bless you, Natalie. May your may your companies excel. And would you mind if we pray quickly?
Sure, no problem.
Let's pray. Father in heaven, I just pray that you take this wonderful lady that you've created by your hand, that you would just continually bless the rest of her life. Dear Father, that you'll make her a continual influencer, that you'll make her an even bigger inspiration, that you'll provide a platform for her to share her story and to change people's lives. And I pray, to Father, that you'll increase her faith and that the place where she lives will become a blessing to other people, that her presence in the lives of whoever she comes across in the business world or wherever else will just make her just a strong force of your spirit, dear Father. I pray, Father, continually for her body's health, for her mind's health. I pray that you bless her family. And dear Father, we don't even know who all the nurses and the doctors were that helped her in the hospital. I pray a blessing on their lives too, dear Father. You know their names. I pray, dear Father, that you'll be with that doctor who operated on her. And I just pray, dear Father, that you would continually show your fingerprint in her life so that she will know that you are there. Thank you for her who gives you honor and glory, dear Father, where many people don't. And I just pray that you'll honor that, dear Father. Thank you for the blessing of knowing her. And this is our prayer in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen.
Just something I want to say to whoever's listening to this, like if you're a really, really, really quality man who knows Jesus fully, you're welcome to WhatsApp me or message me, and I'll give you like sort of a interview questionnaire and let you apply. Then maybe you can meet Natalie. All right, but I'll decide. That's if
Okay.
Natalie wants a good guy one day. I'm just
Sure,
joking.
sure. I still have hope.
Natalie, thank you so much. What a
Pleasure.
blessing that was.